Saving the environment one ride at a time. A thought that fueled our vision to make a company that offers clean, efficient and sustainable mobility solutions. Saving the environment one ride at a time. A thought that fueled our vision to make a company that offers clean, efficient and sustainable mobility solutions. Saving the environment one ride at a time. A thought that fueled our vision to make a company that offers clean, efficient and sustainable mobility solutions. Saving the environment one ride at a time. A thought that fueled our vision to make a company that offers clean, efficient and sustainable mobility solutions.
Go to mymetalogic.com. On the top left, click on Subscribe. Click on Subscribe now. You are now on the card page of Metalogic subscription. Quantity refers to number of months. Change it to from 1 to 12. Click on Update Cart. The subscription amount will be calculated on number of months selected. For 1 month, it is 500 rupees. For 12 months, it is 6000 rupees. Click on Proceed to check out. Fill the billing details and click on Place Order. Now you can choose your mode of payment. You have just made a right choice. Thank you for subscribing to mymetalogic.com.
Saving the environment one ride at a time. A thought that fueled our vision to make a company that offers clean, efficient and sustainable mobility solutions. Saving the environment one ride at a time. A thought that fueled our vision to make a company that offers clean, efficient and sustainable mobility solutions.
The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Saving the environment one ride at a time. A thought that fueled our vision to make a company that offers clean, efficient and sustainable mobility solutions.
An attack by Russian military forces today, the decision by Russian President Putin of holding a war will become a disastrous loss of life and human suffering. Good afternoon, namaskar, hello, and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. My name is Monica Bachchan. I'm a founder of Metalogic Projects Management Services. It is a maximum women staff organization. Viewer, I'm pleased to inform you that Metalogic has just completed its first 5 years on 3rd January 2022. On 24th February 2022, we are presenting you webinar on electric vehicles and solar energy, opportunities for steel and auto component manufacturers. Webinar sponsored by American Precoat, California, and EVA, powered by Prakriti E-Mobility and Vyom Power. This is our 45th webinar during COVID-19 pandemic. I hope you have gained an insight from our last webinar on Indian steel and raw material outlook for financial year 2022-23 held on 15th of February. The recording of that webinar is available on our YouTube channel as well as on mymetalogic.com. Viewers, the portal mymetalogic.com for all the webinars are being recorded and converted into a report. So the recordings and the reports you can find on mymetalogic.com of every webinar. And for this webinar also, the report will be available by next week. Just a short housekeeping before we get started. If you have any question during the panel discussion, please type them into the question box of your GoToWebinar control panel. I'll bring them up during the presentation and we will also have time for questions at the end. Always mention your company name and organization which you are representing and who would you like to address your question to. We will also be having few audience poll questions. So watch the program very carefully until the end because your vote matters. This program is currently live on youtube.com/Metalogic PMS. So in case any of the attendees finding a difficulty of attending the program through the software, you can watch the program on youtube.com/Metalogic PMS. Today, we all have come together to discuss on two segments which are striving hard to create a balance between environment and industry. The electric vehicle and solar energy segment are the most ambitious and sustainable solution which are giving a new dimension to the way we are thinking about energy conservation and reducing greenhouse gases. In today's webinar, we will try to touch major points related to growth of solar energy and electric vehicles in India in the coming years, the rising demand for steel for these segments, and the specific grades of steel required for producing them. Also, it would be an interesting learning if recycled steel could, would help in creating a cheaper and efficient electric vehicle environment in India. Further, we would focus on new opportunities arising for auto component and steel manufacturers from these segments and the need to reduce weight to increase efficiency and bring down the emissions in electric vehicles. Finally, our panelists would also share their views on the need of steel in new electric vehicles, plants, battery plant, and charging stations, and the mandatory use of BIS quality steel in electrical appliances. Now I leave the floor to our expert panelists. Today, our expert panelists are Dr. Shubh Gautam, Chief Technical Architect, American Precoat, California. Mr. Mukesh Bhandari, Founder Director, Electrotherm India Limited. Mr. B.C. Datta, Vice President, Corporate Affairs at Ola Electric. Mr. Rohan Seth, Vice President at Prakriti E-Mobility Private Limited. Mr. Anchit Gupta, Chief Commercial Officer at MYSUN. Ms. Abhinanda Basu, Key Account Manager at Tata Power. And I'm your moderator. To start with, I would like to welcome Dr. Shubh Gautam to please open the session. Sir, you can unmute your mic, sir.
Thank you,
Over
Monica.
to
I
you.
like screen share options as well.
Sir, just a sec. Sir, is it visible?
Is it visible to you guys? Is my screen visible?
Sir, white blank screen is coming. Yes, now it is. Yep.
Now it is, right? Perfect.
Right, sir.
A very, very early morning to everybody on the panel and the audience and everybody who's taken out to come and participate in this quite unique webinar, I must say. Connecting solar cells to electric vehicles is probably connecting 70% of this planet's GDP in one go. Thank you, Metalogic and Monica, for taking the brave stand to go ahead and challenge a couple of subjects that are indeed needful for a country like India to address at the moment. In the next 10 minutes, I'm assuming I have 10 minutes because 60 minutes divided by 6 is 10 minutes, then we have a Q&A. So in the next 10 minutes, what I would do is probably take you down the road to what is the meaning of electric vehicles. Allow me to do that because being based in Silicon Valley and being part of this excellent growth story of Tesla, I mean, the photograph on your screen is me when Model S was being designed. And this is many, many years back, 2017, 16, and even before that. We now have Model 3 and beyond that. So what is the meaning of electric vehicles? Why is high-strength steel innovation, luxury, and performance associated with electric vehicles? And as a synonym, what kind of learnings do we take when we move on to the solar industry in terms of next actions and mandates to us? Make no mistakes, the first electric car was not launched by Tesla. The first fully electric plug-in car was launched by General Motors in 1919. It was called the EV1. And they sold about 1,200 units of that EV1 to a set of residents in only 3 states in the US, Georgia, Arizona, and California. For some reason, all of those units, about 1,100 of them were taken back by General Motors. I don't know what it was. Rumors are it was the oil lobby. Rumors was it was a political action, whatever that is. But the first electric car, trust you me, had such a huge impact on the consumers that anybody who had been owner of EV1 would say and swear that was the road to go. It just happened that Mr. Musk and his team probably in 2000 thought it's the right time to get into electric vehicles completely. When I say EVs, I'm talking about 100% plug-in vehicles. I'm not talking about a hybrid concept. One was Tesla. In the next 9 minutes, I'll take you down the Tesla lane because most of what we understand today is because of Tesla. And what Tesla means and why electrical vehicles will be the norm of the day is most important to understand. First and foremost, Norway, a very small European Nordic country, has the largest and the richest sovereign fund on this planet, has one of the, I might be wrong, but could be the largest offshore oil reserves on this planet, bought 75% EVs as far as consumers were concerned. Now, a country which has the highest offshore oil reserves, a country which has no dearth of money, why should they go EV? What's in it that's taking this revolution by storm? Why is it that when Model 3 was launched, Tesla said, ladies and gentlemen, S60 Volvo is now the second safest car on this planet, and Model 3 is the safest car. Why is it when Model S was launched by Tesla, the rating agencies, the conventional rating agencies in the automotive world, failed to qualify Model S? They didn't have rating parameters given the performance and the data that came from Tesla S, be it on efficiency, be it on performance, be it on luxury. The rating systems failed. What was happening? It was very clear. Let me take you through the next slide. No, yeah, this is the next slide. This is how the EV world will be by 2024. Between a short span of 15 years, and I'm sure a lot of this data will be covered by many panelists more expert than me on EV vehicles marketing strategies in India. But then, yes, when Model 3 was launched in 2017, we could see the way the world was heading for. Now, let me take you back as to what happened. What is electric vehicle, or what happened? What was the necessity for this revolution to emanate? Productivity, human productivity was hinged on technology, and this is when tools and tackles were required. It was so we had lead acid batteries, then came the nickel hydride batteries, and then came the lithium ion. And make no mistakes when I say that the first lithium ion battery was a resultant of consumers wanting more battery life out of their laptops, out of their personal devices. So it wasn't a gigafactory of a Tesla or anybody else who came up with the first lithium ion battery commercially successful. It was Sony Corporation. That was 2000. They came up with a lithium ion battery, and that started a revolution as far as battery making was concerned, as far as possibilities were concerned. The problem with electric vehicle was that it didn't have range. People were insecure. It was a different mindset. The creature comfort that gasoline vehicles gave us was not available with electric vehicles. And back then, the cost of making a battery, a lithium-ion battery in 2000 was roughly about $1,400 per kilowatt hour, which today has dropped to $140 per kilowatt hour. So we'll get into that more detail, I'm sure, in the session. But yes, essentially, what do we have? Electric vehicle has got a battery. There's a place where battery is installed. The electric car has got a body and a chassis, which happens to be, in Tesla's case, great performing art. Now, make no mistakes that Tesla electric vehicles, crash test, safety, and performance have nothing got to do with it being electric. Now, you have to make decisions based on where you are. For a country in India where the per capita annual income is about $2,000, we cannot beg and borrow everything that Tesla did in North America and say, look, Tesla does this, so we'll have to do the same in India. Make no mistakes. That's a country with a $55,000 per capita annual income. The point is, when we say that Tesla is made out of high and ultra strength steel, the point is they wanted to create the best automobile on the planet. It's a coincidence that it was also a 100% electric vehicle. This is the battery of a Tesla, and this is the battery of Tesla Model 3. It weighs about 540 kgs, which is about 26% of the car's total weight. Total weight is about 2,000 kgs. And this battery pack is placed at the bottom of the car. Now, what it does is the moment it's placed at the bottom of the car, this puts the car center of gravity a mere 44.5 centimeters off the ground, giving the car unprecedented stability, which is why they can have a different set of tires on the width, on the diameter, and still have the same stability. This is what it does to the design of the Tesla. It has nothing got to do with being a battery. Well, they took battery as a tool and tackle to add more stability to the whole vehicle. Moving forward, here is what in each cell of battery has. It has a cathode, which has rare earth metals like cobalt, nickel, lithium. It has an anode, which is purely silicon or graphite, depends on what we are looking at. Electrolyte is nothing but a lithium salt. That is why it's called lithium ion. Make no mistake, the battery has 80% nickel. It's called lithium ion because the electrolyte, the lithium matrix present within the domain makes the conduction possible. Then we have copper, aluminum, and blah, blah, blah. This is the composition of the battery. Why I'm taking you through this is when we talk about opportunities, you don't know where we look at what opportunities. There could be tremendous opportunities for each one of us. I mean, it depends on what lens we look at it. This is how the battery is made up of Tesla's Model 3. If you look at the body and chassis of Tesla, what do we have? Most of, and don't be surprised, because electric vehicles have an issue with the range. Either you can pump more battery systems, make it more heavy, make it more expensive. I'll come to the cost innovation part later. Or you could lightweight the whole body and the chassis. Now, if you lightweight the whole body chassis, obviously your choice of material science changes. And make no mistakes, most of the body of Tesla is made out of bauxite-driven aluminum. Total aluminum is about 190 kgs in a Tesla. Then obviously the underbody is made of titanium because it needs ultra high strength should there be damage happening from the underbody of the vehicle. So it has nothing got to do with Tesla. I'm telling you again and again, it's just that how this was designed. Make no mistakes, any electric vehicle which can perform equally well need not be based on these design parameters. I am kind of dispelling a lot of misnomers and demystifying a lot of facts which otherwise are construed with an electric vehicle as being necessary to be electric. It's not the case. So we have iron, we have boron steel, we have coal, we have a lot of things. These are basically the raw material from where it comes. Moving on, this is basically the front quarter of a Tesla Model S. What do we have? Mostly we have aluminum, we have mild steel, we have high strength steel, and we have ultra high strength steel. So Tesla essentially uses 3 different grades of steel. It uses mild steel in the outer body structure, where it's designed to absorb initial impacts and high strength. It uses ultra high strength in the vehicle's core. For instance, the A-B pillars, which are red in the graphic, are fabricated from ultra high strength steel in order to provide maximum rollover protection. And that is linked to the stability. The Model 3's front rail is a composition between high strength and ultra high strength. We have mild, high, and ultra high strength. And this serves as the main support for the crumple zone, which we call the crash zone. Now, I was very surprised when I went through the manual notes of Tesla and we found that Tesla says structuring pulling is not allowed in Tesla, meaning any structural component that's welded, weld bonded, riveted, or rivet bonded to the vehicle cannot undergo a process wherein the straightening of the structural parts are facilitated through a hydraulic pulling machine. Doing so would avoid the yield strength of the metals being used. So that's the flip side of having ultra high strength steel. So HSS, ultra HSS and HSS, make no mistakes, complement the need for an aluminum body, which means the center fundamental pillar of this design is lightweighting of the body. And as I said, if we go forward, these are more details of the rear components, of the front components, and how probably they make do all of it. But what is most interesting is if I take you through one of the crash tests of Tesla. Before that, here is the induction motor. What does it have? It has steel. The stationary piece of the motor, the stator, is made from both copper and steel. This is where steel goes. So hopefully by now we understand where is steel used in an electric vehicle. For someone like Tesla, it's not mandatory. Please understand, when Model S came, Tesla thought Model S would be copied by the planet. It had fundamentally revolutionized how 4 wheels were manufactured. Surprisingly, that didn't happen. The rating agencies failed to qualify a Model S because it excelled in every parameter, even the safety test. Hence, it became synonymous that electric vehicles have to have ultra high strength steel. That is not the case. Essentially, that is not the case. But of course, if you're designing something, if there's a paradoxical change in the way consumers will use product in the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years, I foresee gasoline engine probably being phased out in the next 20 years, then yes, we have to understand why good quality materials are needed to make a good quality product such as an electric vehicle. These are some of the products being used here. This is the breakdown cost of electric vehicle battery cell. We have about 51%, which is cathode. So 51% of business goes to people who control rare earth metals. About 24% is manufacturing depreciation. 12% is basically anode, which is electrolyte, which is basically where lithium ion and blah, blah, blah come in. 77% is separators. Separators is one industry where there's a lot of scope. We can discuss that in Q&A answers. And then 3% of battery housings and blah, blah, blah. This is a crash test of a Model 3 versus Volvo S50. The idea of showing this live crash test on a high pole side impact test is for us to understand that Tesla chose to be an expensive product, a product designed with a lot of care, performance being at the foremost criteria, not of range, not of the change in mindset from gasoline IC to electric. They chose this to be the safest car. Now, they chose this to be the safest car. Doesn't mean this paradigm applies to India. We can always look at different opportunities for Indian segment going forward. But here is the crash test. This is a side pole in both the cases. Left is Model 3, right is Volvo S60. Before this was demonstrated, Volvo used to be the safest car on the planet. This demonstration clearly dispelled that myth. This is the car coming down. It hits the side pole. It crumbles. Look at Model 3 and look at S60. A phenomenal difference. Let me run it for you again. Because Tesla chose to make the safest car in the planet, which is why they went for ultra high strength steel, including high strength steel. Lightweighting was not part of safety. It was part of a strategic design for giving Tesla unprecedented range and order. Now coming down to something that we know as lightweighting. And let me give you two stories here. One is about a beverage industry called Coca-Cola. This was in 2006, 2007, when the Coke CEO says, as a sustainable industry, we would like to ensure that we are not carbon negative. And what they decided was, let me switch that off.
Sir, your presentation is not visible anymore, so you can continue.
Yeah, am I visible? Okay, perfect. You can check me out as a presenter.
Yeah, you are visible, sir. You are visible.
So the point that I'm trying to make, friends, is Coca-Cola 2006-7 said, how do we become more sustainable? Now, we can become more sustainable by investing $500 million, $1 billion. What's a quick fix to becoming more sustainable? And let me tell you, and there was this young man sitting in Coke India office, and he said, we spend more than $1 billion in taking our Coke bottles from point A to point B. We fill bottles, we put them on a truck, we ferry them to a point of distribution and consumptions. If we lightweight the bottle even by 20%, we would save close to $700 million. People didn't believe that. So the Coke lightweighting project actually kickstarted in India. And I still remember there used to be a bottle making company in Haridwar by the name of Hindustan Glass. I used to go there personally because I got involved with the project. And Coke lightweighted the bottles by 40%. And let me tell you, they saved more than $1.6 billion by lightweighting the bottle. The idea of lightweighting the bottle was not saving. The idea of lightweighting the bottle was performance. They didn't save merely on sustainability. They saved on being carbon positive. They saved on causing the wear and tear damage on the roads. They saved in what we call the gray pollution. We have pollutions of different categories. We have white pollution, blue pollution, gray pollution. There were less wear and tear on the roads. Less tires were thrown out. We had quick distribution. So lightweighting is a concept that has to come. Why I'm taking this to a point is, what do we do in solar industry? We make panels. We make panels out of silicon germanium, right? We make panels where we can use steel at the bottom of the panels, but the infrastructure of the solar industry essentially depends on protection. Because the life of a solar park is 30, 40, 50 years, depending on what you're doing and where you're doing, how do we sustain the infrastructure? What supports the solar cells? Now, all that is basically mild steel with a lot of protection. That's where we do 250 GSM. 450 GSM was zinc. My question is, a little lightweighting of products. Protection is all about how you do it. I mean, if we can do beyond zinc. Why more zinc? If we can go to zinc nickel, we can go to zinc cobalt, we can go to zinc titanium. We can bring down the weight probably by 30, 40%. If you bring down the weight by 30 or 40%, you bring down the cost. This is how we can do a lot of lightweighting in the infrastructure segment, in the solar industry going forward. Lightweighting is a concept I like to see, where I see a lot of potential. Now, if you say you can always make solar panels, I'm not expert in making solar panels. I've seen a couple of solar panel manufacturing facilities around the globe, but the idea is lightweighting. And that's where we say we'll have to adopt new technologies. When I graduated, my laptop weighed 4 kgs and I had an 80 MB hard disk. Today, my daughter's laptop weighs 400 grams. It has 2 terabytes. So am I saying lightweighting has taken away performance? Of course not. We have to look at newer methods, newer technologies. Doing the same 350, 400 gram of zinc is neither being sustainable, neither being cost innovative, neither being technologically innovative, neither being performance oriented. So we have less we have technologies where we use less amount of products that we take from the earth. They can become more sustainable, and we can do tons of good work around it. I think so. I've overshot my time. Up to you, Monica, and happy to take any questions at the end of the session. Thank you for your listening.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. So this is a panel discussion where we are going to have discussion from 3 perspectives. One is the steel, second is electric vehicle, and third, the part is the solar energy. I would like to invite Mr. BC Datta. Sir, I know you are short of time, so I'll take up the questions very quickly. So you can make your point. With that, I would like to ask you one question, sir. So Ola Electric opened purchase window for scooters on December 15th, and more than 4,000 units shipped already during the first phase. Now, second phase window is being opened from January 21. So how much sales do you see by the end of this financial year, and what is the idea of two-wheeler market going on, sir? Datta, sir.
The FIR cannot be quashed at your instance.
Sir, over to you. Yes, sir, you're audible, sir.
Okay, fine. So, good afternoon, everybody. Before we speak on a number and other thing, let us talk about the product and the venture that we are doing. Ola, we are, India's largest ride-hailing technology company. 70% of the taxis that operate under this ride-hailing is by Ola. So, as a next, venture from Ola, we are now getting into electric vehicle segment. 80% of the mobility, automobiles sold in India is two-wheelers, and about 20% are passenger vehicles and other mode of transport. Now, scooters definitely matter most, and in the world, India is the largest market for the two-wheelers presently. Roughly about 2 crore scooters. Around 20 million scooters are sold in India every year. Having said that, so there is enough damage to the environment done. World's worst cities are 20 are in India. So such being the case, so efforts have been taken to start the electric, mobility revolution. Hitherto, earlier there was few automobile companies which started, but never they ventured into a big scale, operation or venturing into larger scale production of electric vehicles. Ola is the first company in India having started in a very large scale manufacturing. Ola's future factory, what we are setting up in Tamil Nadu, is the world's largest electric two-wheeler factory. And we produce almost like, including all IC engines also, 15% of the world's production will be done here in India in Ola Future Factory. Not only that, the phase 1 for 2 million is now almost ready, up and running, and we have already started. One more important part of this, Ola Future Factory is it's one of the most green, sustainable factory. and the entire operation, it is run either on solar or renewable energy. It's a carbon negative. Within the plant, we have almost like 100 acres of greenery, forest area is there. And one most important is almost like 10,000 girls will be employed in this factory. It's an all-woman factory for the first time in the world, in automobile, definitely. Now, coming back to the technology, Ola has, in-house doing the main, parts of these vehicle. Battery, motor will be manufactured in-house. Paint shop, of course, we have inside. Of course, the steel per se is the frame that we use for the scooter, which of course we get it done. Steel that we use is also very highly specialized steel, which definitely there's a market for steel manufacturers to make sure that they supply this quality. And our most important motto and agenda is to source everything in-house. In-house in the sense within the country. So it is make in India, made for the world product. And then coming to the product that we are doing is one of the best scooters available anywhere in the world, one of the best. And this scooter will have 100 odd features. Either to you are only seeing the dull and not so attractive, two-wheeler. But now you have a scooter with many features. It can, you can make call, listen to music, ask for the direction. You can set the map, and then it's a keyless entry. Is that you come closer to the scooter, it opens. You go away from the scooter, it closes. And then also you can track the scooter where it is because it's enabled, GI enabled. So you can even in any of your family members, daughter, wife, or children taking the scooter, you can always track them where they are and find them out. Also, you can set the music tone. The electric vehicle normally does not make any sound, but you can set your own, sound for the scooter. This is very similar to the mobile phone that you use. It's like a mobile phone with two wheels and a host of features to the product. India has accepted very well over 5 lakh bookings done in the initial stages. And twice we opened it for making the payment, bulk of the payment for booking. So around 1100 crore worth of sale has been done in just 2 days of opening. That's the kind of appreciation, love and affection shown by the Indian community. So we also said that it's a revolution in progress. So we have been asking all the Indian citizens to join this revolution. So such is the interest shown by the Indian is extremely good. And over 20% of these products, once we start the full function, we will export it to European countries, 24 countries in Europe, Australia, New Zealand, South of America, Africa, all these countries, these scooters will be exported. So made in India scooters, you can definitely, see them any part of the world that you visit, possibly maybe a year down the line.
So coming
And
back to the
coming back to
question,
the part of it, yeah, coming back to the steel part of it, there are definitely a lot of opportunities exist because the only steel that we use in the frame. So opportunity for the very high quality steel does exist. A lot of vendors, we have been, advising them to come closer to the factory to be just in time, concept to be able to. So, of course, there are a lot of interest or from many vendors who are just getting closer to our future factory. Yeah, Ms. Monica.
yes, I was wanting to know how many units you are planning to sell by end of this financial year, sir.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of number, I think it is difficult because the production keep increasing on a daily basis. So the present capacity is about 2 million, 20 lakh scooters. So sky is the limit. It depends on the way the production happens, and it's ramping up is happening on a daily basis. So definitely you can expect very, very good number.
So one more question I would like to ask you. Like 2 days back, I read somewhere that Ola is also getting into four-wheeler. After establishing two-wheeler segment, so you're also getting into four-wheeler. So
Exactly.
many brands have also entered into the market with wide range of electric vehicles. So what all lines you're planning to come up? Like two-wheelers are done, four-wheelers, and after that what?
Yeah. Two-wheeler, of course, is the announcement already made. This is like urban mobility, Monica. Urban mobility meaning within the city, all the vehicles, whether it is two-wheeler, three-wheeler, four-wheeler, it will all be, catered either only by Ola, either our own vehicle or the greener vehicle made by other manufacturers. Since we already having our own aggregator, like taxi facility we are on Ola. So we will definitely, the urban mobility will definitely up and running, and it will all be green. So this, in this space, all the mobility solutions will be provided by Ola. That's going to be the future.
Thank you, Datta sir. I would like to raise one poll question before I come up to the next question. The poll question is on your screen, audience. Please start voting quickly. So the question is the Indian steel industry geared up to cater to the requirement of EV and solar? Very simple option in yes and no. Please start voting, and people who are watching on YouTube, please comment your answers in the comment section of the YouTube. Is the Indian steel industry geared up to cater to the requirement of EV and solar? Yes or no? We have a lot of people watching the program on YouTube. Mr. TC Chatterjee, then Rajesh Ji, Ravindra More, Sanat Gupta.
Close.
Okay, I'm closing down the poll now. The results are on your screen. So 81% says yes, we can make that kind of steel which are used in electric vehicle and solar, and 19% says no. So we'll go with the majority of 81%. So I'm able to hear you. Datta, so I think you are trying the mic testing. I can hear that. Okay. So my first question, my next question is, what kind of steel demand do you foresee from the electric vehicle and renewable energy? This question is for Dr. Shubh Gautam and Mr. Mukesh Bhandari. So we will first check it up from Mr. Mukesh Bhandari, sir. What kind of steel demand do you foresee from the electric vehicle and renewable energy sector?
Normally for a two-wheeler, the steel consumption is about 25 kilograms. And the number of two-wheelers which were sold last year, if I take into account that, the steel consumption was, just 1 second, about 50,000 tons. So it is easy to meet this requirement. And Niti Aayog has projected that these numbers will go to, will double almost every year. Like 50,000 tons will become 100,000 tons, and then next year it will be 200,000, 250,000, right? So this demand can be met, right? But which one product which is very much required, one quality of steel which is very much required is electrical steel. Unfortunately, in India, we have either almost no capacity or negligible capacity for production of this electrical steel, because electrical steel has about, I think, 3% silicon. And our requirement at this time, when we don't manufacture many two-wheelers, electric vehicles, it is about 1.1 million ton, out of which 0.7 million ton is imported from mainly China and Korea, and some quantity from Japan. So this quantity will, at present, only for two-wheelers, this steel requirement is about 10,000 tons per year, and this will go to by 2030, this will increase to about 0.2 million tons. So this is one steel which probably we should try to increase the quantity so that we are able to meet the requirement of not only EV industry, but also requirement of electrical industry, transformer industry in general.
Right, sir. Dr. Shubh, Gautam, you have a point to make here? What kind of steel demand do you foresee?
Yeah, mostly was taken care of by Mukesh. All I would say is, make no mistakes. In 20 years, there will be only electric vehicles. So we don't have a choice whether we are ready or not. We have to be ready. If you're ready, great. Number two, the primary cost of electric vehicle, 2 4-wheelers, is the battery. My presentation was very clear. I don't foresee world's largest battery production happening in India in the next 50 years for the simple reason that nature has not been kind to us. 70% of rare earth metals that we need for manufacturing battery, fortunately, unfortunately, are only available with China. And we are not geopolitically extremely cushy in terms of that equation. So battery you cannot make. Can you make the induction motor? Yes, Mr. Bhandari was very categorical. Induction motor has copper, steel, silicon, things like that. What is left? The body and the chassis. We've got the underbelly. So if batteries are imported or they're assembled here, if the basic cells are imported, what is left for us to do? Obviously, we have to create our own steel. We don't have to go for ultra high strength steel. Why should we need? It's a no-brainer. If we have one of the finest steel makers in the country, finest integrated steel plants here, we have equipment providers, there's a whole chain of innovation available. It just has to be strung together without making the mistake that the strength of a chain is equal to the weakest link. You can make batteries, you can make battery separators, it's your choice. You want to make battery separators. If you can't be the king, do you want to be the king maker? It's your choice. Make the right steel for the right kind of country with the right affordability. Now that's innovation. We don't have to copy X, Y, and Z. Start with two-wheelers, right? If you make battery separators, if you make electrolyte, if you make anodes, still you can be a winner. So I think so we are pretty much poised to be there if we want to, but it needs a concentrated teamwork and understanding of the subject. Thank you for the question.
Thank you so much, sir. I'm raising, Mukesh, sir.
Here I would like to tell you, Dr. Gautam, that some work has been done and it is starting here in India on sodium batteries. Because sodium is available easily, but yes, it will take time. It will not happen in the next, say, 10, 15 years. So, but sodium batteries, if they are developed, and I think they will be there, and where no lithium is required, and requirement of rare earth material is also reduced to a great extent.
Oh, that's fantastic news. I was working on a project with one of the Indian companies, a major two-wheeler manufacturer in the north, obviously pan-Indian globally now. They said they're working on an aluminum battery. I mean, aluminum was electrolyte. Yes, I wish. Is it possible in India? Yes. As a stupid chemist, do I believe Indian engineers can do it? Absolutely. But the point is, where is the road? Where's the infrastructure? Where's the teamwork? Where's the direction? Merely wishing a problem away will not take the problem away. I can assure you, if $1,400 per kilowatt hour can become $150 flat because 1 gigawatt factory started in Henderson, Nevada, 22 years back. And why do they call it gigawatt? Because that factory could produce batteries up to 1 gigawatt. Today, we say 10 gigawatt is the minimum, LG and General Motors, Ohio. So yes, we can have a battery discussion later on. It's a subject very close to my heart, and on one which I have some IPR knowledge and patents on dry and wet and stuff like that. But yes, very pertinent point by Mr. Bhandari, completely.
Right, sir. So I'm taking up next question. This question is for Abhinanda Basu, Tata Power. Ma'am, my question with you is with the global objective of the COP26 agreement in reducing the carbon footprint, SBI, the State Bank of India, has launched a dedicated centralized processing cell called Surya Shakti Cell. The bank has entered into an agreement with Tata Power, the solar system, for financing the solar project. So could you please throw a little light on this project and how it's going to benefit across India? So,
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. So basically, if you see, like as we were speaking with my earlier panelists, like we spoke about the steel and the electric vehicles coming up and all, right? So for catering to the power needs, solar is very much required, be it steel industry, auto industry, and any other manufacturing industry in presently in India, which is existing or which will come in the near future, right? So for that, what we are trying to do from Tata Power side is like we are wanting to power your facilities and see how best you can utilize, because ultimately whether it's steel, automobiles or any sector, they will need raw material will be electricity, right? So and for that, like we have to, our responsibility is to give cheap electricity so that you can means you can just cut down the cost for the manufacturing. So from that perspective, what we have done is like Tata Power has come up, like, see, again coming to that, like we need funding. Many places it happens that you'll be interested in investing from your core business and expansion of your core business, and wherein like where you need a funding, easy funding availability is there. So SBI is coming in and we have partnered with them, so wherein we are able to give a faster disbursement of amounts for the powering of these industries. So that's where we have pitched in and we are working on. And so the primary USP is what you can say is like typically when we see in Indian processes, they take a lot of time, but this Super Shakti cell, what has been set up with within our organizations, it's like to fast track this process primarily. So we are able to do the disbursements like with the basic form fillings and all in say 3 to 4 days, and the disbursement once the disbursement happens, immediately you can set up the plant and start utilizing and saving power and making your whether it's steel or automobiles more cost effective.
thank you, madam. I'm launching one more poll question for our audience. Start voting. The question is, do you think the issue and availability of land, labor and capital are holding back solar energy sector? Options are simple in yes and no. Do you think the issues and availability of land, labor and capital are holding back solar energy sector? And people who are watching on YouTube, please start commenting your answers. We will take it up. And if you have any question, you can post it in the comment section. Do you think the issues and availability of land, labor and capital are holding back solar energy sector? I'm closing down the poll now. Oh my God. I'll show you the result. So quite a mixed bag of results. 51% says yes, while 49% says no. And I can tell you when the result was appearing, the bars were moving, little bit
Left and right.
forward and backward. 51%, 49% is the result. Yeah. So, the same, I would like to see comments on this particular question from Rohan, Seth, VP Prakriti E-Mobility, and Anchit Gupta, MYSUN. First from Rohan ji. What is holding back India in terms of realizing the potential of solar energy generation? Do you face problem with land, labor, and capital? Sorry. Yeah. Rohan ji, you need to unmute yourself.
Is it okay now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Audible.
So, on terms of land, I'll say that yes, it is holding up because of the clearances issue. That it's a personal experience of our company. Like sometimes there are like too many departments who are there to you have to take the clearances from, and that increases the timeline of the project and eventually the cost. Labor, I'll say that yes, skilled labor is always a challenge in India, right, like in terms of designing or the optimization or cost cutting, say designing is a very easy part. So for a 20 kgs of panel, I can, introduce say 40 kgs of steel. That's also a design. But how to optimize it, right? That's where the skill set will come into the picture. That's again an issue. Capital, obviously, yes, the inflation is there. So, the prices are fluctuating too much. There are high rate of interest on the green projects, say from SBI, it's hovering around 8 to 9%, which is quite large. There are multiple, cess, duties, and taxes left on the either the generation part or even, when you are giving the excess of the power to the grid, there's a tax on that as well. So that's also an issue. Transportation cost is one major issue that, it's totally dependent on the fossil fuel, the crude oil prices. So now it's at, all-time high. And one more thing I would like to add, like the frequent changes in the, policies in government, specifically for the Indian market, that also, that's also a hindrance in terms of when you are calculating the feasibility of a very long term project, say when you're having a power purchase agreement for 25 years. And every now and then there's a change in the policy. Say the net metering was on for 1 megawatt, now it has come down to 500 kilowatt. So that really, hampers the investment side of the project. And I guess these are the few issues that we, felt that is there in the solar industry, and that is what holding back in the solar energy generation.
I'm sure. So I will take up another question, after this. First, I would like to hear a comment from Mr. Anchit Gupta. So.
Yeah, thanks, Monica. So I think, first I'd like to just understand the question, because I don't think really there's anything holding back the solar industry per se. There are challenges, but there are a lot of players who are solving those challenges and still installing significant capacities. What is actually holding back, if we say there's something holding back, is more regulatory uncertainty, as Rohan just mentioned. Whether it is a visibility on government bids that would come out for the next 10 years, next 5 years, let's say, and a phased manner of bringing those out. Or, when we talk of open access for industries, each state has a different policy. Some allow those, some don't allow them. In many states, while there is a policy in place, practically it is not happening. But at the same time, there are a lot of developers who are finding those areas where there are opportunities and executing projects. A lot of capacity is getting added. So yes, there is possibility of growing much faster. But I think the regulatory uncertainty is the biggest challenge that the solar sector faces on an ongoing basis. In many cases, it's just improving, but still there's an uncertainty. The other, when we talk of land, land in India is a very, very difficult matter to deal with, because one, solar requires a lot of land compared to, let's say, a thermal or of similar capacities. The second part that complicates land is just the land holding regulation. So, with the entire concept of land ceiling acts, etc., the holdings are so widely distributed that getting those kind of land passes becomes a long, tedious process, and with a lot of surprises. So I think while many states do try to simplify the land acquisition process by saying, let's go, you don't need to, you don't need to get conversion done. You can start the installation of the solar projects. You don't need stamp duties to be paid if you're doing solar projects on land, etc. So there are a number of supportive policies which are there. I think without those supportive policies, it would have been very difficult, because in any case, land as it is very difficult, and it is not like setting up a manufacturing plant once and then every plant is a new land acquisition and a new project approvals, etc. So I think as far as labor and capital is concerned, if you're building the organization right, and if you're building the business model right, as we can see, there's enough capital flowing into the country. It is directed towards a few players. That's true, but that's because they've grown to a certain level, whereas others have not yet. So I think capital flow is there. There is debt capital available. There is equity available. One thing which Tata Power has been doing, which is with the Surya Shakti cell, and we at MYSUN have also been doing for our SME customers, is now we see a lot of financing institutions coming in and saying that we are willing to fund solar installations at homes and SMEs on a non-recourse basis or recourse only on the solar system. We do see that developing, and we've got a few tie-ups on those fronts. And making the kind of bringing the entire package together. In the end, you've got to look at it this way. There's a car, you get a car loan. So there's a solar system, you get a solar loan. That's how the system needs to develop, and that's where it is headed. And there is definitely interest in that from the lending community.
Right. So, both of you have said one common thing, that there is a, issue with the policy regulations. So my next poll question is, the same thing. Are the government policies in line to support the growth of these sectors? We're talking about both the sectors, EV and solar. So audience, do you think the government policies are in line to support the growth of EV and solar? And the same question I would like to raise with Dr. Shubh Gautam and Mr. Bhandari. Do you think the government policies are in line to support the growth of these sectors? I'm closing down the poll now. You have got three options here, yes, no. And the last option is more policy initiatives are required. Okay, I'm closing down the poll now. Answer on your screen. So the majority, 72% says more policy initiatives are required. 22% says yes, and 5% says no. So majority is going with 72%. More policy initiatives are required. Dr. Shubh Gautam and Mr. Mukesh Bhandari on the same question, sir. So please unmute yourself, Dr. Shubh Gautam. Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry.
Thank you, Monica. I have some very, very divergent views on this question, Monica, because this keeps getting popped up with different shell and core. How come the biggest brands who changed human productivity were started by people who never went to college? How do you explain that? Or were college dropouts? Policies should not be a reason for not being innovative. Policies should not be a reason for saying we failed. Policies are catalyst. The reaction needs to start. Catalyst mechanism keeps on changing. I mean, this is how we develop things. This is how vaccine is developed. So I would not say that more policy initiatives are required or not required. My question is, how many entrepreneurs have actually put in framework which goes forward to say that if we cannot make a battery, we'll make a battery separator. Now, allow me 2 minutes on this topic. What is Foxconn? Foxconn is the largest manufacturer of iPhone. iPhone cannot do without Foxconn. Foxconn was based in Taiwan. They realized we cannot make an iPhone, we cannot sell an iPhone, but we can be the largest contributor to iPhone. If we cannot make a battery today, why can't we make a battery separator? A battery separator is a very thin membrane, a very sophisticated material which separates the anode and the cathode. Because if the anode and the cathode get short, battery would go down. Now, make no mistakes, the difference between Tesla and any other electric vehicle, and be very careful in understanding what I'm saying. If you look at any vehicle, I own a Toyota, I own a Nissan and a Tesla. Never on a Toyota and a Nissan will I see all the 10 slabs of a battery showing full. Never. It'll show 9 full, the last will be empty. It's only in Tesla that we see complete 10 full. Is it about battery? No, it's about battery management systems. Battery separators are made 100% in China. It's not a very rocket science technology, doesn't require $10 billion in investment. They're made out of a wet process. The problem is when you make a battery separator today, you generate hydrofluoric acid. Now that's 100x more dangerous to the nature than hydrochloric acid. So when you make wet battery separators, chances are, I'm told, no, not a living organism survives within 50-mile radius. Now we have IPR on dry battery separators. Is that possible in India? Absolutely possible in India. Does it require a policy initiative? No, it requires a push. So on one side, yes, government should come up with more policies, but I would like to change the word policy to more hand-holding. We should see more uniform and actionable investments on the ground. I wish 4 people would come together and say, we can't make batteries, but we'll be the largest battery separator manufacturing to the world. We will not be the king, we will be the kingmaker. Coming to Rohan's question of just diverging a little bit, now for every stand that he designs for a solar panel, right? 1/4 of that weight is zinc. If I could shave 90% of that and say, look, go for zinc nickel coated, then his design will become so much more better. Now, where does the government step in here? But yes, I would not say that policy initiatives are not required. They are very much required in place. They will not come easily because government has a lot more things to do. But yes, I would request the government look into meaningful ways of creating Foxcoms for the electric vehicle. And that is where we can be a winner. Mr. Bhandari.
Bhandari sir, just give me a moment. Archit ji has to go, so he want to say something. So Archit ji, before you go, I would like to take up one question because he's leaving, sir. So I just want your little permission here. So Archit ji, I want to understand from you. MYSUN has come up with a flexible model of using solar panel at home, societies, and commercial buildings, and we understand it is specially designed for SMEs. So what potential do you see solar at micro level? Bhandari sir, please allow us to take this question, then I will come to you. Yeah, Archit ji.
First of all, I'm extremely sorry. I just have to step out now. I actually understood that it was supposed to be till 4. I didn't realize it was till 4:30. So my apologies for that. And before I answer your question, Monica, one point, Dr. Gautam, I mean, I completely agree with you. Innovation needs to come from entrepreneurs, from businesses. What I always say is that policy support or initiative is not required. The flexibility or the freedom to do stuff is what is required. And just one example that I'll give you, since you were talking of structures. So if we talk about standards for getting subsidies for homes, when solar homes get rooftop installations at home residences get subsidies, they need to have galvanized iron structures. There is no flexibility around it. So that is where the government starts to get into a situation where they're restricting the options for the consumers. And that actually brings us to what we are doing at MYSUN also for residences and for SMEs. So what we say is that not every home or not every roof is the same. Not every roof owner is the same. They all have different drives to solarize. They all have different budgets to solarize. And they all have different requirements from how they want to use their roof, whether it is to solarize or is it to do something else. So with that in mind, what we've done is that we've created a range of products which are not just pure solar products, but we've always heard of carports, we've always heard of solar street lightings, etc. But we've also come up with pure solar systems which can be used as, let's say, creating more space on your roof. Whether it is an SME, a small industrial setup in, say, Okhla in Delhi, and they have a roof, they want to have a small cafeteria for their employees, and so they could use a solar rooftop system and create a cafeteria there, because they don't have enough. They have height restrictions, so they cannot go all the way and construct more, and they need to utilize this space for manufacturing facilities. So those are the kind of ideas and concepts that we've launched for residences, for SMEs, where we help solar be more than solar for the customers. And I think that combined with financing solutions that we're bringing to the table, I think we should be able to kind of scale this sector much faster. So that's just one of the examples that I have offhand, but those are the different kinds of utilities that we're coming up with as far as solar is concerned.
Thank you so much, Anchit ji. So Anchit ji, if you have to leave, then now there is no restriction on you. You're free to go.
Thank you.
I will not stop you. Yeah.
And thanks everyone. I'm sorry. I'll just, yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
Bhandari sir, over to you.
Hello.
Bhandari sir.
This
Yes, sir.
suggestion actually for Mr. Archit. You know, we did a project long back in about 10 years back. So it was a 15 megawatt solar project, and I was not very happy with the use of land the way it was done, because agricultural land was used for installing the solar panels. So I at that time thought that why can't we have agriculture and solar together, right? Now this solar panel prices have dropped so much. So agriculture and if solar, if they are done together, then probably there may not be any need for purchase of the land. In that case, the land can be rented by the farmer to the developer, and this will give extra income to the farmer, and the farmer is also going to produce some agricultural product, and when they are washing, whenever they have to clean the solar panels, that water is utilized for partly for irrigation. So these are the kind of ideas I think we have to generate, you have to use, so that solar becomes more sustainable, and maybe we need less permission from the government agencies. This is, I think, doable.
Sir, I like to ask one question. What are the main concerns related to the steel requirement for these sectors, sir, Mukesh sir? And do you expect a growing import for such steel products or application in near future? Then I will take same question to Dr. Shubh Gautam.
This is for solar and for electric vehicles.
Sir, both.
Okay. Yeah. So as far as I think this requirement of steel goes for solar, this requirement can be met. But as Dr. Gautam was saying, that say you have to put zinc, but can it be put in some other way? So this is the expertise of Dr. Gautam. Because when we did this project, we did hot dip galvanizing, and that added a lot of cost to the structure. But if the same structure is made from electro galvanized steel, then probably the weight will go down and the cost may go down to a lot extent. Now for electric vehicles, I think the steel policy 2017, at this moment, at this time, India is producing about 150 million ton of steel, out of which about 30% is coming from electric routes. That is either arc furnace or induction furnaces. Right. Now, by 2030, the amount of steel which will be required for only for two-wheelers and three-wheelers, I don't have much idea about four-wheelers, but the numbers are going to be very large. So they are projecting that even if we have 30% penetration of electric vehicles, then in 2030, they are likely to be about 10 million electric cars, 55 million electric two-wheelers, and about 12 million electric three-wheelers. And compound CAGR is likely to be about 40% if these numbers have to be achieved. Then CAGR for three-wheelers will be about 40%. For two-wheelers, it will be about 90%. And for cars also, it will be about 90%. I think this requirement of steel can be met with the capacity which is going to be installed by 2030, because 2030 our installed capacity is likely to be about 300 million tons, and we should be producing about 255 million tons of steel. In any case, if there is shortage of steel felt, then electrical steel, the steel through electrical route the projects can be started in a very short time, unlike blast furnace projects and other routes. So steel requirement for either electric vehicles or solar industry can be met by local production, because we used to export, or we are still exporting, a lot of iron ore, which has to be conserved. And I think once we do that, we should be able to meet a requirement of both the industries.
Right, sir. Dr. Shubh Gautam, sir.
I'll be pretty blunt, Monica, here. Why do we need a stand below a solar panel? Because you have to support a solar panel. Now, the stand itself needs to have protection from weathering, which is why we have zinc. Now, if you need weathering for 40 years, you go for 350, 450 GSM zinc. This is 35 years old technology. That's why I say policies are not required to be innovative. But make no mistakes, to change anything in a policy requires a lot of lobbying. So unless the top 5, 6, 7, 8, 20 entrepreneurs get together and say, this is in the interest of the country and our interest, very little innovative solutions will come by, which is what we call an innovative ecosystem. American Precoat established India's, proudly to say, first and only electro-galvanized steel mill, which is in tandem color coating with a lot of fancy wear attached to it. Now, if you want protection, if you want to say, give me a stand which will stay there, will not rot, will not vaporize, will not topple the panel for 20 years, I can give you 20 solutions, half the cost of galvanized steel. So give me a solution for 40. If galvanized steel, if zinc, you see, the zinc cost in 2020, July, was 197 rupees a kg. Anybody wants to take a pot shot at what the cost today is? It's 300 plus. And anyone who says it's coming down, I'll have a debate with them. It's going up. And you want to cover and increase the weight because zinc density is 7.6 or 7.4. It's very heavy. How do you lightweight? That needs to be carried from point A to point B. A panel is not very, very heavy. I've seen many panels. I've seen that technology. So we need the innovative solutions. We can have the solutions in specialized coated steel, alloy coated steel, electro-galvanized steel, so on and so forth. But as Anchit said, there should be freedom. If there is no freedom, there will be no innovation. Policies will neither get innovation nor freedom. If I would have the will to do what is right for the consumer and give him the best quality for his money, only then we will be innovative. So 2 examples, electro-galvanized, electroplated steel for solar cells, and obviously battery separators. Be the largest battery separator manufacturer in the world from a dry process, employ 1 million people, and supply battery separators to everybody who makes batteries. You have an even keel to balance and negotiate what you want to do. I rest my case. Thank you, Monica.
That's quite an opportunity which you are showing it to entrepreneurs and companies who are into solar. I insist everyone to consider what Dr. Shubh Gautam is saying. If we cannot make the battery, then of course we can make the battery separator, which is quite a highlight of the today. Okay. So Rohanji, I would like to ask you one question. Like Prakriti has come up with the commercial electric vehicle and has set up 43 state-of-the-art charging stations, which for both commercial and private vehicles. Are you also planning to get into more stations or into public charging? And what is your phase-wise priority to set up charging stations? Rohanji. And with this, sorry, I would like to add up one more question to you. How do you see growth of EV fleet in your company, and what are the factors for it? Rohanji, over to you.
Can you unmute me? Yeah, thank you. So, I'll give you a brief introduction for the Prakriti first. So, we are an app-based EV cab aggregator based out of New Delhi, and currently we have 168 Tata Tigor EVs, which is like fully EVs. And we did have 43 chargers, and we had the largest hub or the largest charging infrastructure under one roof in collaboration with the Tata Power in 2022, and we inaugurated that. And it was basically a captive charging station where we are using only for our fleet. But going into the future, going into the next cities in Delhi or India, we might open it for the public as well. So, for past 2.5 years, we have been developing, various small super hubs where we are going there and using as a captive charging infrastructure for our cabs. But now, we are envisioning into getting into a strategic relationship with charger point operators, because there are many charging point operators all across India, all across Delhi, who are coming up with innovative solutions for, creating the parkings, creating the charge cycle. So we want to have a strategic relationship with them so that it will foster our, growth, and it will, make it way better than, we doing captive charging station as well, and then, increasing our fleet size. Rather, we'll focus on, giving the best service, giving the best EV cars on our platform, along with a strategic partner who is giving us the charging station. And yes, then we'll be entering into tier 2 cities or either all the capitals of India, and through those partners, they're gonna be installing the charging stations, open it for the public. Plus, we'll also list them on our app, where they can bring the on-demand service for the EV cabs, as well as find a charger to charge their EVs. So even if my presence is not there in an XYZ city, but there are charging point operators, so I can give them my app, and people gonna use it, and it will make the utilization of that asset, the charger, more, and that will give us a good value for our app and the utilization of the asset as well. Coming to the second question, what's the growth in the EV? Yes, everybody believes it's the need of the hour, and in 2017, Delhi is being awarded with a very notorious award of being the most polluted city in the world. We didn't like it, so we came up with this idea, and yes, the market is immense in EVs, and the support from the government as well as fabulous. Like an example in Delhi, they are not just promoting it, they are pushing it. So there's a thin line difference between it. So they are mandating that all the EVs should be getting transitioned, all the fleet that the government is using should get transitioned into electric vehicle. So we as a company, we are looking to enter into all the sectors, whether it's for the consumer, whether it's for the businesses, whether it's for the government. Not because there's a compliance or there's a ESG compliance that you have to fulfill. It's the responsibility of every sector that to get into EVs and reduce the air pollution and cut down the carbon footprint. So there we have immense potential of increasing our fleet. Plus the app, as I said, that will be launching all across India in every city. It will be used to call the cabs if you want. Plus, it will also have the charging station listed on them. So, it will also bring a behavioral change into the people, and they will think about EV at least once in a day. That's our aim, basically. And plus, as far as the growth of the fleet size, yes, many companies are coming into India into this space. BYD is one. Tata is already a pioneer, and we have an MOU with them for 500 cars as such. Mahindra is also there, and they might be coming up with new cars. So looking forward for those OEMs to bring those cars onto the platform, and we'll love it if we can have them on our platform to serve all the segments.
Thank you, Mr. Rohan. Abhinanda ji, I want to ask you, how are the market dynamics changing in the energy sector with the solar project becoming, coming into India? And what is the infrastructure requirement for solar energy do you see?
Okay, so to answer your first question, let me just say that solar is something we are talking so much about, steel and electric vehicles and all. Again, touching the same point that when we want to reach the masses in India, we have to make it more economical, right? And it's like and manufacturing in India is one of the most important things for that part. So, and solar being like from the perspective of solar market as such, if you see, solar market will be growing gradually with the usage being more across the industries, right? And like that is one part of looking at it, like where the solar is growing with the commercial and industrial segment adopting and going green. Because right now, as Mr. Rohan was also speaking, right, air pollution we are speaking about. So solar is a way of looking for going for a greener tomorrow, and with the curbing of the pollutions and all. So that is one part of looking. And aside this, like see, we are talking about manufacturing components of like steel segment or the electric vehicles and all. So along with that also comes the solar, right? So as we know, like the central government is already putting up like pushing for manufacturing in India. So like we are having the PLI and all. So also recently they are putting up like the Ministry of Central Ministry has put up like this the duties which is coming up, right? This is primarily to facilitate the growth of manufacturing sector in India. And right now, if you see like the way market is growing, the yearly requirement of solar maybe in gigawatts, say 30 gigawatts and odd, and we have a production capacity of say around 10 gigawatts of modules right now. So this gap needs to be met, right? So we have to fast track and grow in a faster pace, for which we from Tata Power is an active member, which you all are aware. So we are just trying to push this initiative from the government and helping the industries to set up and be more cost effective to serve the people of the country. So that's our main intention. Yeah.
So, Abhinanda ji, my question is again, which you just referred that the government is taking a lot of initiative with policy. So, my question to you and Mr. Rohan is: the Finance Ministry has, ordered imposition of 40% and 25% basic custom duty (BCD) on the import of solar modules and solar cells, respective from 1st April. Budget 23 financial year 23 has extended support to the solar energy sector on enhancing domestic production capacity with an additional allocation of 19,500 crore rupees in the from PLI scheme. So do you think India is missing competitiveness? There is a huge dependency on import of solar cells and modules, because last year only more than 90% of modules has been imported from China. And what steps Indian solar developers or EPC companies or modules can take to overcome the situation of huge imports from China on modules? Yeah.
Okay, to answer your question, madam, is like, first is what I feel is, see, this demand and supply gap will be there for the initial few months maybe, right? So while Indian government is trying to push for more manufacturing in India and catering to the sector here, we have to look at the practical part of it as well, right? India is having a manufacturing base wherein we are able to cater only say 30% of the total demand. So we have to prepare ourselves and gear up for the challenges that we are going to face in the downline. And Tata Power, we as Tata Power, we are doing that. But along with that also, I feel like we should have that option wherein we are able to supply the modules from outside also for the timing to just bridge this demand supply gap. So that's what I feel. And solar requirement, as we are planning for going for a greener tomorrow and net zero is what our target is, right? Ultimately. So for that, solar has to happen. And so we have to have more of this policy and more initiatives from the government side and support in ways to bridge this. That's what I feel. Yeah.
Thank you. Rohanji, what is your take on this, on import of 90% modules from China?
Well, I think it's a very interesting question where, it's answering itself. So I'll tell you what the issue is. So the government or the MNRE, they have made an approved list of module manufacturers, ALEM, just into this budget, when they announced it. And these ALEMs, or the approved list of module manufacturers, they will be only, eligible to give their panels to all the developers who are developing either government projects or even that project that it's going to be using open access or they have net metering, right? So they have restricted few manufacturers like, okay, these are the approved ones. Now, second, we are saying that we have imposed, BCD of 25% and direct import of 40% on the modules. All right, so that's gonna increase the price, say by for modules around 7.5 rupees, and for the cells it is 4 rupees. Now, the second part of the question, like 90% were imported from China the last year. And I would say all the manufacturers, those are, are approved. They are all businessmen. They are not saints, right? So now you have created a delta of 7.5 rupees. So why wouldn't the Indian manufacturer seek profit out of it? Why will they again sell those solar panels on the cheap price, since you have increased the delta from the import from the China, right? So there is no mandate, right, that you have to sell the panels at this price. Okay, if I'm getting a delta, say, that solar panel is costing 30 rupees and I'm right now selling at 22, I might sell it for 29 rupees, to seek profits. Then eventually the tariff price will go up. All the PPA prices, that's going to go up by 50 to 60 paisa. And this will again, lessen the gap. Like, how do we propose a solar power installation to a CNI or to government? Like, okay, you will be having a saving if you install a solar power plant along with the green, REC benefits or carbon footprint. But that gap gonna get reduced, right? They're gonna be less saving because the PPA price is gonna be going up. So, then again, it's gonna entail to slower adaptation of the solar. Yes, sir.
So, Dr. Gautam, you'd like to say something? Oh, sorry, just a second. Yeah. So please unmute yourself. Yeah.
Yes, Monica. I just want to add something, and I'll be adding things on the sidelines to make it a little spicy. Now, you guys are doing some great work, Tata Power, Prakriti, everybody. Do you know solar panels have this plastic called ethylene vinyl acetate? All solar panels modules are made out of ethylene vinyl acetate called EVA. EVA is basically a polymer made out of ethylene and vinyl acetate.
Agreed that.
Yes. How much of that polymer do we make in India?
None.
What I'm saying is, don't even make the basic polymers. Forget import duty. See, understand the Indian growth story is founded essentially around the entrepreneur. The Pacific growth story was essentially the Chinese or the Korean growth story was founded against the system. When the system said you need to grow, you need to get green grass, they went ahead and got the green grass. We are the result of the finest entrepreneurship. So I'm just saying that even if we don't make the basic polymer, we import EVA. We're talking about silicon germanium combination glass chip and saying there's import duty. There's so much innovation that needs to be done. I personally, sitting here in the valley, see it's not being strung together. There's some fabulous work which Niti Aayog has done, I'm made to believe, and I completely agree on that. But understand the pillars of ecosystem needs to get to the next phase. As simple as that. You make EVA, you'll have an even keel. Chinese want EVA, barter EVA for some. If you don't have negotiation capability and no innovation, well, yes, we will keep on struggling. Sorry, Monica, to digress on that.
No, it's a very valid point you said. Yeah, Mukesh, sir. So please unmute. Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to say one thing, say cell manufacturing is extremely important. And as I think in India at this time, only Adani is manufacturing cells locally. Otherwise, that's the reason why most of the cells are being imported. But I would like to tell you one thing, that the silicon which is required for solar cells is called metallurgical grade silicon. It is not very high purity silicon, and metallurgical grade silicon, it is possible to make in India. So but it will require a big investment. So some manufacturer should take up this manufacturing, because like Dr. Shubh said that this APA sheets are still being imported, and a lot of other components are being imported even today. Like even the boxes, the connector boxes are being imported. So, and actually once you go for one thing, then the second thing will follow, because you want to be competitive, you want to be more profitable. So how you can do that? By manufacturing locally. Because if we have to import from China, not only the price, but the time which is involved. Say we are talking of just-in-time inventory, and when we import from China, at least 1 month is lost. So that will also help us a lot. So I am again, I would like to repeat that this metallurgical grade, this silicon can be made in India. And I was just thinking that why China is able to do that. So there are a lot of plants. I'll give example of even Tata power plant. Say their capacity is unutilized. So say, can Tata, instead of selling the electricity to some say UP electricity board which does not pay for, or the say some other electricity board which does not pay money for years, so instead of doing that, can Tata Power utilize their capacity in the evening, after the evening hours, like after 10 o'clock till morning 4 o'clock? Can they use this energy to make the metallurgical grade silicon? Because metallurgical grade silicon, if I'm not wrong, it needs something like 30,000 or 40,000 units of energy for 1 kilogram. 1 ton. So say, because a lot of extra capacity is lying unutilized, and if that is used, so at least if it is used, then this kind of production we can do, and then it will be possible to make solar cells locally. And so that's the way to, I think, go.
Thank you, Mukesh sir. Yeah.
I'll
Abhinanda.
just add to this what Mukesh sir said. So basically, sir, see, we are also doing cell manufacturing in India, right? But the quantum of requirement and the manufacturing, there is a gap. So that's what we are wanting to highlight, right? So once that is bridged in, so things will be easier for everybody. Yeah. And innovation, without innovation, we can't progress. So innovation is a major thing.
It is a key. Is a key.
Yes,
that's right. So I'm raising one last poll question, and related to this, I would like to take this question to Mukesh sir. So audience, the question is, do you think PLI scheme for semiconductors will be the enablers in building local semiconductor chip manufacturing ecosystem? So your answers are simple in yes or no. You can choose your answer. And Bhandari sir, the same question goes to you, that government recognized the disruption caused by chip unavailability and has introduced a PLI scheme for semiconductors with a budgetary allocation of 75,000 crore rupees. Do you think this will be an enabler for manufacturing of local semiconductors chip ecosystem? So first, I'm closing down the poll now. People who are watching on YouTube can post their answers in the comment section. The answer on your screen, 89% says yes, that this will boost domestic manufacturing, semiconductor chip, and 11% says no. So majority goes 89%. Over to you, Bhandari sir.
I think, this chip manufacturing is not easy. And I remember there was a laboratory in Chandigarh, I think, Semiconductors Limited or something like that, by such name. So that is very old technology, and recently there was some fire, etc. So that's why it is just stuck in my mind. So the way we have to do is that what Taiwan did in 1950s or 1960s. So we will have to go the same route, or maybe a modified version of that. So they borrowed, or they not borrowed, but they paid for that technology, and they took it from America, and then say some European manufacturers, and then they they started manufacturing the semiconductors, and now they are leaders in some of the fields. So I think, and the same thing was done by even Japanese. So I think that's the way to go, because our own development, if we try to do, and then we try to do this manufacturing, then it will be extremely difficult. And I think a lot of European countries and a lot of American manufacturers would like to give this technology to India. And I understand that such discussions are already happening with some chip manufacturers for technology. So I think this is the way to go, and it will help India immensely.
Right, sir. Anybody else has anything to add up with chip manufacturing? Okay, so
I'm
sir.
sure Vedanta has tied up with Foxconn to manufacture chips in India. So chips come in variety of sizes and shape and usage. For example, a chip that is inside your car key is also a chip. Now that small little component has put the entire automotive industry in a tailspin. And we also have VLSIs that form the basic motherboard of Apple M1. So merely saying chip manufacturing is I would rather basic chip manufacturing can start, should have started 20 years back. But how much do we graduate to manufacturing ultimately the VSLIs and the designs? You'll be surprised. The company that designs the chips is a company that has the largest market share in the world. Is called Cadence. Cadence has a very large infrastructure in India, and 70% of people, I'm told, who work in Cadence are Indians. So you have that technology. Your people are doing the wonders for the Samsungs and the Apples. We should have done it 20 years back.
Right, sir. So I'll take one more question, then we will end the session. So the question is, very basic. How much power cost a consumer will be able to save after using solar energy? Anybody can respond to this question. How much power cost will be saved for a consumer?
Yeah. Okay, go ahead, Abhinanda.
Abhinanda, yeah.
Okay, I'll just take this question because again, so if you see pan-India, like this power cost saving is something like which is related to the grid tariffs, right? And it varies from state to state, as we know, right? Typically, but the kind of savings what you can have is in the range of 30 to 50% on the grid tariffs as on date. Yeah, so this is from the tariff perspective. Yeah, yes. Go ahead.
So let me answer this question, and then probably the last key takeaways from what I've been trying to do for the last 90 minutes. Electric vehicles are very expensive than gasoline vehicles, make no mistakes. Still, people are moving towards electric vehicles. Now, when we are a cost innovative country, which means cost rules. If you're only tech innovative, you won't succeed in India. You've got to be cost innovative as well. I would say you have to be first cost innovative and then tech innovative in that seriatim of success. Why is electric vehicle expensive? When you buy electric vehicle, you're paying for the vehicle and you're paying for the fuel that will be used to run it for the next 40 years. Because the incremental cost of charging a battery is zero. When you buy a gasoline vehicle, you're only buying a vehicle. And you're putting gasoline every month, every day, every week, every year. So if you remove this paradigm, and if batteries become more affordable, or if you become a kingmaker by making battery separators, I mean, the answer to this question is phenomenal. There will be material savings, there will be non-tangible savings, and ultimately, like it or not, we'll have to move to solar and other sustainable means. That is one. And last point before we wrap up is two key takeaways. One, I would like to throw opportunity to everybody, the attendees, the panelists. We are embarking on a project which is on the drawing board for making battery separators in India. It'll be a great moment. We want to be what the Foxconn is to iPhone. We like to be to the battery industry. And I welcome anybody who has interest to be in touch with us. We value India, its innovation, and yes, that's one. And the last is perception. Policies, entrepreneurship, investment, cost of capital, logistics are different things. Perception changes your attitude towards the problem. If I were to keep two batteries in front of you, one is an iPhone battery and one is an electric car battery, which one will you prize more in terms of technology? Wouldn't you say, oh, iPhone battery? But let me tell you, it's the other way around. iPhone battery is not the best of battery technology because it has to last 5 years. The actual technology of a battery is in an electric vehicle, which has to last 30 years. If our perception towards innovation changes, that's the first step towards creating innovative ecosystem. It was a wonderful session. This is how I rest my part of two little pennies. And,
thank you so much, Dr. Shubh Gautam. Mukesh, sir, before we close, you like to say a few words, and same Rohan and Abhinanda. Mukesh, sir, first.
You know, I started, we started electric scooters way back in 2006, right? So I did that for two reasons, because when I used to go to my school, I used to go on cycle, and we used to go on various trips by cycle. And I found that the environment was very clean at that time. And the whole idea of my starting this electric vehicles way back in 2006 was that how can I leave this world when I go away little more clean for my kids or grandkids. And I think if we take this, keep this thing in our mind, that we don't do everything for the sake of money, because I think what is most important is family, your friends, and the people who live around you. So how can we do something to make them happy? So if we keep this in mind, so then I think, say no expense will be spared to make this world better. And electric vehicles and solar energy, they are two things which will make this environment clean and better. This is I think I can say.
Thank you so much, Mukesh, sir. Rohanji.
So, I would just like to add that, we, like what Corona has taught us is basically, if I'm wearing a mask, if I'm sanitizing my hands, not because of a policy or a framework or a mandate from the government, I'm doing it because now I feel it's my responsibility. Drawing in, another analogy. So I'll say, I just read a paper a few days back. So the number of premature deaths because of air pollution in India in 2018 was around 20 lakhs or 2 million. The number of premature deaths due to Corona in 2 years is 5 lakhs. So you can just, see how that air pollution is impacting our lives, right? And now we should make it a responsibility and not just blame or just not, wait for the government orders to get into EVs or get into solar or, just transit into any kind of an alternative fuel or a greener fuel. We should take it as a responsibility and save our environment or the Prakriti, as we say.
Wonderful words, Rohanji. Abhinandaji, before we close.
Yeah.
Your final
So
words.
again, so to sum up, like of course, like as Rohanji, Mukeshji, and Shubhji has said, so I would say that, like again, so we have to do a lot of innovation. We have to try and protect our environment, or we have to save power, save electricity, and all. And so whatever we are trying to do at present or in the future, Tata Power Group will always be there, Tata Group will be there to support, and means we are trying in day out to make things happen in India. So that's how we are doing, and so that's how we'll be there always. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Basu. With this, I'm ending the session. Thank you so much for sharing your valuable inputs. With this, I would like to thank our fellow panelists, starting from Dr. Shubh Gautam, Chief Technical Architect, American Precoat, California, our keynote speaker. Mr. Mukesh Bhandari, Founder Director of Electrotherm India Limited, Mr. BC Datta, Vice President Corporate Affairs, Ola Electric, Mr. Rohan Seth, Vice President Prakriti E-Mobility Private Limited, Mr. Anchit Gupta, Chief Commercial Officer at MYSUN, and Ms. Abhinanda Basu, Key Account Manager at Tata Power. Webinar sponsored by American Precoat, California, and Evara, powered by Prakriti E-Mobility and Vyom Power. Webinars are recorded. Viewers, the recorded version of this webinar will be available on youtube.com/Metalogic PMS. Do not miss to subscribe. And the report of this webinar will be available by next week on mymetalogic.com. Again, do not miss to subscribe at 500 rupees per month. We will meet again very soon with a new program on 15th of March on Gati Shakti scheme for infrastructure projects. Till then, take care and goodbye.
Thank you, Monica, for having us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Shubh Gautam. Thank you, Bhandari sir, Rohan, and Ms. Basu. Thank you so much.
Saving the environment one ride at a time. A thought that fueled our vision to make a company that offers clean, efficient and sustainable mobility solutions. Saving the environment one ride at a time. A thought that fueled our vision to make a company that offers clean, efficient and sustainable mobility solutions.